In this particular use case, we are going to cover a very important use case that is known as Egress Public Subnet FQDN filtering. Based for this particular use case, what we are going to do is that we have a private VPC in Aviatrix Fqdn VPC. We have a private instance in that VPC. So by default, there is no there is no route available on the private instance to go outside and to connect to internet, right? And also we cannot do based on that we cannot do any kind of filtering or FQDN filtering if it is not having any kind of internet access, right? So Aviatrix has a proprietary feature that is known as Egress Fqdn, where we will deploy a Egress Fqdn gateway, and based on that we will create our properties to actually do the filtering based on FQDN, right? So there are very simple steps that we need to follow. So let's go to our controller, where we go to the gateway, click create new, and let's name the gateway. Just give a second. Let's name the gateway as Gateway FQDN. Then in North Virginia would be the region. Then in Aviatrix Dev1 VPC, let's confirm it. Here we have to deploy Egress FQDN. Let's deploy it, and let's deploy it in public one US East 1A. The instance type will be small. That is okay. Click create. Let's wait for this gateway to be created. Now, if we go to checking the gateways, our gateway has been created, but there is no policy, nothing has been tagged. A very important thing that we should check when we are configuring this FQDN part is that if you go to the VPC, and we need to check basically the route table. So if you go to VPC and do a route table checking, so by default, if you check for dev1 private instance route table, you will check that there is no default route as of now, right? And only exit point for all of the routes that you will be able to see would be through the spoke gateway, right? This spoke gateway. But if you check it for a public instance in the same dev1 and the same region, just go for, let's say, this one. So there is a default route, and that default route is for going towards IGW, that is the internet gateway. So Aviatrix is not going to touch or not going to change anything on the public side of it. Like if it is going to IGW, it will still point to IGW. The only change that we will observe would be on the private side, right? We will add a default route here. By default, when we configure it, we will add a default route here, right? So let's go to the Aviatrix controller. Let's go to the security tab in the egress control. So now we are in egress. So if when you have to configure egress FQDN, you go to security, you go to egress control. From here, what you have to do is create a tag. Let's create a tag. Let's name it, like suppose I'm naming it Facebook, or whichever name you want to give, right? Click OK. Then what you have to do is, just give me a second. You have to go to the tag and click edit. Now you have to add a domain. So basically, what domain we need to add, just click add new. Let's create a domain that for www.facebook.com. I am allowing TCP policy, like I'm allowing TCP port 443, right? So just click save. I'm adding one more, that www.google.com. I'm allowing ICMP and port, or just give me a second. Let's say TCP, and just give me a second. Let me delete it. Let's add new. Let's allow it. Let's port should be, let's say I'm making it blank, ICMP, and I'm allowing it for www.google.com, right? So let's let it work on the base policy. Then let me add one more new rule. Let's say if suppose I'm adding it for www.tcs.com, right? And I'm allowing it TCP port 443. Let's say save. And then we have to update it, right? Just update it. That has been updated. Now what you have to do, you have to attach the FQDN gateway. We have created a domain. We have created a tag. Now we are going to attach a gateway with it, right? So which gateway we have created? Gateway FQDN. Just update it. Now, the FQDN has been gateway has been updated. Now, what you have to do, your by default your base policy is allowed. Now you have to enable it, right? You have to enable this tag. As soon as you enable this tag, we will go to the root tables to check what changes it made to your private instance. So just go to your private instance, refresh the root table. Right now, if you go to Aviatrix Dev1 VPC and go to the roots, earlier there were 4 roots. Now there is a 5th root, that is 0.0.0.0 going towards this ENI. If you click this ENI, you will be able to see that it is going to Aviatrix ENI Gateway FQDN, right? So it is actually going to the your Aviatrix Gateway. Now the things that we need to check and verify on our private instance would be, let's see that what tags we have created. Right, so if I go to my private instance and I try to do curl, right, and let's say HTTPS, and let's me try for www.facebook.com, right? So I'm getting a curl, right? But if you say that if I am doing it something other than this, let's say I am trying www.oracle.com. Should it work? I think no, it will not work because I have not allowed it in my list. But if you do, like if you see that I have allowed google.com ping, that is the base, will follow the base policy, right? ICMP is allowed for google.com. So if I go and try to do a ping for my from my private instance, just click this and you will get a response in a few seconds of time because the policy is still getting updated. Basically, if you now test to try to ping www.google.com, so it will try to fetch the response from there. And if you see that we were getting the response for www.google.com, right? So this is basically about the Egress FQDN that we are trying to configure on our localized site. So thank you for that.